Are you looking for a way to scale your short-term rental business and buy more properties? Well, co-hosting might be the right fit for you. Welcome to the Cohost Coach podcast with Joe Roney. This episode of the Cohost Coach is brought to you by Savvy STR Agents. If you're looking to buy a short-term rental, then contact the STR Savvy Agent team at savvy.realty.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Cohost Coach. I am Joe Roney, and I am honored to have a really awesome guy and friend and owner of Market My STR join me today. Scott Hill, how are you?
Fantastic. Better now that the Cardinals are showing up every week, it seems like, right?
Yes. We are middle of the way through the baseball season, and nobody thought the Cardinals would stand a chance by this time, and we're only sitting a couple games back, so I'm pretty excited about that. And we actually discussed last night that we're going to go to a game.
Oh, nice. Very good. Weren't you boycotting for a while?
We were boycotting at the beginning of the season, but they're getting some momentum, and I think the ownership group understands what us fans, why we did what we did, and hopefully we'll start to see some positive changes.
I would love to go to a game this summer. I'm going to have to drive those 5 hours, but man, I would love to go. So
yeah, we can definitely work on planning that. So Scott, I am, one of the original members of Market My STR, which is, a short-term rental platform that you put together. So kind of take me all the way back on where this idea came from and kind of what Market My STR is all about.
So in 2017, I had an abrupt end to a job that was not fun for me. And so I started looking at at that point, I fell back on being a business broker, which I had done in the past, and I could not find a platform to help me manage my business brokerage. And so I looked for software that would help me and found a developer that was building an all-in-one marketing software platform, but it was designed that they would do all the work in building the features and technology, and then agency owners or people would take it and get a license to it and then customize a solution for niches, for niche-based businesses. So I started exploring that. I happened to kind of get my feet underneath me with gym owners, believe it or not, and professional business coaches, one of which was a woman named Jody Sacco, who was plucked out from her business coaching career, and she became the head of the 10X coaching and mentoring program for Grant Cardone. Wow. And so when she came to that, she called me up and she said, Scott, we are struggling with our current coaching program platform. Could you help us design something for Grant Cardone and his coaches? So I said, sure. And we started working with Grant Cardone and Jody and that group for a while. And if you know anything about the Grant Cardone ecosystem, he likes to own it or have his hand in all of it, so if you've ever gone to one of his conferences, they're pretty powerful. And he's got a lot of, additional units or business divisions. Anyway, we kind of knew, and we actually started out with Jody, where Jody's saying, hey, listen, this is likely going to be a timed sort of engagement. It's not going to go on forever. We knew that. And so it was very powerful for us. But as we were going through that, I happen to have a daughter who is the same age as Bill Faith's oldest daughter. And they were on the same soccer team. We did not know each other. And so Bill and Bria were actually the announcers for the JV squad, and I was the announcer for the varsity squad at the high school, and then they played on the same club team. So we would cross paths for like over a year. Bree and I knew each other by text saying, hey, I dropped off the equipment. Now it's yours. And we drop it off at the side of our garage and all this stuff. So, they had a servant mentality, you know them. They're just great people, and they were volunteering to help, and so was I. And while we were on the side of that soccer field in the club that they were playing together on, we just started talking. It was halftime. We're like, well, what do you do? And then we started, explaining it. I explained the Grant Cardone story I just told you, and he's like, no kidding. So he takes out his phone and he shows a picture of him and Grant standing next to Grant's private plane. And he goes, hey man, tell me more about the software. So I told him. He goes, we need a solution for my community, and I need a solution. But with Bill, as you know, Bill will not recommend it to his community until he's properly vetted it himself.
Yep.
So Bill said, let me take a look. Let me have Chris Wharton, my operations guy, take a look. And they started beating it up, looking around. They said, okay, this has potential. And so we started a beta program. And then 90 days later, we opened it to his community. And, really, you were one of those original OG members that jumped on. And the rest is history. I think we're among the industry leading all-in-one short-term rental marketing platforms. And we're proud of that. So that takes us to today.
Man, that is a really amazing story. I mean, things happen in your life. You come across people in your life that are powerful and can be life-changing. And, I know you are very strong in your faith as well as I am. And God puts people in place sometimes just at the right time to be able to make things happen. And I think that's really awesome how this haul really came together.
Yes, sir. I mean, like I said, that job that I had ended abruptly, and I'm unemployable, Joe. Like, I cannot be employed. I went to an Ivy League school, and I went to college to play football. It didn't matter where I went. I was going to go wherever they let me go play football. I didn't care about my academics. It shows in my GPA. If I wasn't going to play football, I probably wouldn't have even gone. So I go to college and I get out with this average GPA at an Ivy League school, and no one hires me because of the average. I go and sell death, which is life insurance for Northwestern Mutual, right out of college. And I just start killing it and bringing it home from then on. So I'm my own business owner, and I lose my job in 2017. I've got a large family of 5 kids, and I've got a lot of expenses coming down the pike. And that was hard, man. I could get emotional talking about it, but that was hard. And so being unemployable, I had to figure out the next thing, because I tried interviewing and no one was like, you don't have any skills that I need.
Yeah.
Because I was always the guy doing that, just like you've been, And so that has its good and bad. And I joke that, they do these studies and say 70% of people in the workforce want to be their own owner. And I'm like, be careful. Like, the grass is not greener. It's a different shade. It has its own weeds. So,
yeah. Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I'm in the middle of reading the E-Myth, which is one of the books that was recommended. And there's actually an E-Myth for real estate agents, which is the one that I'm actually reading now. And it really talks about that. It talks about the technician that wants to become the person who owns their own business, but they don't realize they're also taking on 19 other roles. And that 9 to 5 job turns into 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. And, and it's a never ending circle. So, but man, I mean, the Market My STR platform, I know there's a lot of people out there using it right now. I can tell you that I absolutely love it. And we talked a couple weeks ago, I'm not even scratching the surface with the amount of things that you can do. And in today's short-term rental world, if you are not marketing your properties, you are not among the top 10 or top 20%. And Market My STR is helping people do that.
Yeah, we have had some really good testimonials come our way as a result of us providing this platform. We always say, for someone to get the results that you're getting and others are getting using our platform, the technology that you decide to use, there are 4 S's that you have to make work for you. And if they're not all in sync, working at the same time, it's a waste of money and time. And it's like, the software has to be dependable and usable. These strategies there have to be some strategies in place that you can get some wins with. You have to have the support you need. When this software is complicated, if you need help, you got to be able to get it when you have a question. And then finally, the 4th S is the subscribers got to do their part. If all the other 3 are working, the subscriber never uses it. Again, you take one of those 4 S's away, and it's likely the tech's not going to work for you.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a very, very robust, program with lots of different features, from email marketing campaigns to having your CRM for all of your, client, guests that have come to your house, putting your social media out there. So for any of those that are not using Market My STR, it is a spinoff basically of Go High Level, but targeted specifically for our industry. There's specific, like it connects directly to my OwnerRes and to my property management software and to my StayFi in mine. I don't have to use, Zapier or anything else like that. I can just connect directly to it. So how hard was it to get all those connections put together?
It's happened over time. So in and of itself, each project has its own, start to finish timeline. But collectively, it's been a couple years that we have been building this. Like we didn't, like my joke, it's a dad joke, but I didn't know how to spell STR when I first started in this industry. I knew nothing about the industry. It wasn't in real estate or anything like that. So it's been a process for us to understand how you guys work, what you need help with, how you can best maximize. And now what began as this mission to help you get direct bookings is now a mission to help you get direct bookings and help you leverage time. Like what can you do that if you had to do it on your own or you had to use a bunch of apps that you try to patchwork together, like how can we help you leverage time, especially when it comes to marketing? And then how can we get you more direct bookings so that, I was thinking about this yesterday. If someone watching this and that I know they know the answer, I know you know the answer, but do you really think that Airbnb is taking responsibility for booking your calendar for your properties? Like, of course not. They're not going to take that responsibility, even though it is their mission to provide places for people to stay. So it is your responsibility ultimately, even though so many people have gotten to the point where a large majority of their bookings come from those platforms.
Yeah. Yeah. And, an Airbnb is, it's the Google of vacation rentals, right? I mean, it's, we're always going to get the majority of our rentals from that platform, at least currently in today's market. But if you truly want to own your business, you have to own your guests and you have to own the future of your guests. And one thing I've learned, and I'll say this, one of the things that I've heard some people that have joined MarketMySTR that have left within a year, they've said, well, I didn't, I wasn't getting my money, back out of it. I wasn't getting a lot of direct bookings, but direct bookings are a long game. It's not a short game. You're not going to, open up MarketMySTR today and you're going to see your direct bookings go to 40% next month. It's a long game, and building that email clientele and building those guests that want to come back year after year after year, that's where it's all about. And we're just now in our first full season of our second season of having MarketMySTR, because we started it, before the summer last year. And we're now starting to see some of those repeat guests email me and use those emails and say, hey, we stayed at your place last year. Do you have a different place? Or can we stay at the same place again? And I think that people don't understand that direct bookings is definitely a long-term goal, not a happening today.
I mean, you and I have talked, you and I have had some serious conversations. That's why we're friends, and about faith and about relationships. And I know some things about you that maybe a lot of people don't. But the point is, like, I have a good relationship with my wife, like almost 29 years now, because I've invested in the relationship. You know what I mean? Like building better relationships with anybody, your wife or anybody, requires effort and consistency. Like, so yes, I agree. I don't want to be the guy, MarketMySTR, like, hey, you need to stick around and pay me for 5 years before you see a direct booking. That's not the point, but the point you're making is valid for sure.
Yeah. So what I'm really excited about, and for you co-hosts out there, if you've made it this far into this podcast, this is the most important part that you need to listen to, because Scott is developing inside MarketMySTR a full co-hosting program to basically help you co-hosts get more clients, put together a platform to help you do that. So can you tell me a little bit about what you're building out? Because I am super excited about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually pull it up so I don't miss anything. But what happened was this has come out of some discussions that the community's been having. Bill and his inner circle group has created really the most powerful pod in Bill's inner circle that Bill will regularly point to is the Cohost pod. And it's a group of 30 people or so. And it's headed up by a guy named Dan Colonhe. And he is out of Kentucky. That's where he lives. But he, over the past 12 months, has built a co-hosting business around Lake Norman in North Carolina, and he's got like 11 clients in less than, a year. And he did it using the Market My STR features, Bill's sort of mentoring. And what he did was he followed a program that basically Bill and I are bringing to life. And so what we're doing is we're rolling out an entire roadmap where it's all step by step. You can go through and you can literally follow along from start to finish. From the moment you like post something on the internet, what is that content? How does it drive engagement to other pieces of content that ultimately have the same objective, which is to schedule an appointment with you to discuss becoming, a co-host for a particular client. Now, every single piece of that, as you can imagine, requires software. So the social media planner that we're going to do, where we're going to provide some guidance. You and I were, again, at Bill's co-host retreat where he talked about the 100-day marketing plan. We're going to have all that laid out. So you're going to be able to follow along there. And then from there, it's where does that take you? Ultimately, possibly to a longer piece of content that could be hosted at Market My STR. We have like dedicated hosting videos, so you don't have to have it, on a YouTube if you don't want to. We plan on using YouTube as a secondary channel. But once you have that, then goes to a landing page where you can provide the opportunity to schedule a call. And then all of the secrets that Bill has as part of his strategy for getting co-hosting clients, which are things like once they schedule the calendar, which we have that calendar technology. Bill likes to lovingly call it the Calendly Killer app, where you can create a calendar that syncs up with your life calendar so that someone can plug in and schedule an appointment. Once they do that, it takes you to a thank you page, which is the objection video page, where you have your 6 to 10 minute video that says, here are all the things that you need to be aware of, and answer all those objections prior to the call. Once you get that, it has a workflow that's going to take them through appointment reminders, ensuring that the person did watch the video, or literally having a pull the ripcord moment where you cancel that person if they haven't watched the video. And then pipelines to track people all along the way of your sales process, including the technology that you can add your rental or your co-host agreement that can be signed. We like to lovingly call it the DocuSign killer. So all of these elements, including website templates, lead magnet pages, like literally everything. And when I mean literally everything, it means everything. And if there is something that someone raises their hand and says we forgot, well, then this community is going to help us build it out or fill in the gap.
I mean, it's such a powerful tool. I mean, if you are out there and you are a co-host and you are not using Market My STR, I mean, seriously, it's a no-brainer in my opinion. It's definitely a big part of my business. But Scott and Bill are basically providing the blueprints and the easy button to be able to grow your co-hosting business. And this didn't just come from, Bill. A lot of people like to say, well, Bill can get co-host clients because he's Bill Faith. Well, yeah, that's true. But there's guys like me and Scott and the people that are in his inner circle that are building these co-host businesses from the ground up using tools and blueprints like this. It's not the Bill Face of the world. I love Bill, but yes, he's on a different level on getting clients than we are. This is for us who are in the trenches day in and day out that are trying to build businesses. And I think it's really awesome. And I can't wait for it all to roll out.
Yeah, and Bill's created the framework so that everybody can customize it. And you bring up such a powerful point that I'm starting my own co-hosting business, man. I'm like, I've got the fever for it, right? So I'm building one down in a similar area where you are, and it is going to be my journey that's going to help me perfect this. So everything that, like you say, I do day to day that I find is missing from this roadmap, we're going to insert it. So when you tell me, Scott, I need this, and that's going to be collectively shared with everybody as an attitude of abundance, that I only want like less than 25 properties down in 30A. Shoot, there's like, what, 12,000 or something ridiculous down there?
Yeah.
with a lot of average property managers that I can source from. So
yeah. Yeah. No, I was going to bring that up next. So, what's really exciting is Scott's starting his own, co-hosting business, like starting from the ground up now, and we had dinner. God, it was like 4 or 5 months ago now.
yeah,
We met down in 30A when you guys were doing the legwork of just going down and starting
yeah,
to meet people and
yeah.
build some contacts and, shoot a bunch of content and do some videos and say, you know what, this is the business I want to get into. And now you're getting ready to put that all into play to be able to build that business, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, and we're going to share it all. Like, there's not going to be one thing that we do that we don't share with the community, and that will help people, I think, make fewer mistakes. So we're going to make fewer mistakes because we're learning from guys like you and from guys like Bill and others who have really kind of got it really a long way. And then we'll implement everything that we have as a result of all that. We'll make our mistakes, we'll button those up, and collectively everybody will benefit. And we're calling it Co-host Marketer Pro Framework. That's what we're calling it.
Nice, nice.
So,
I'm super pumped. Obviously, I am all in on Markham ASTR. I have been from the beginning. I'm sending
yeah.
out like 2,400 emails every single month right now, just
Wow.
from the emails that I've collected over the past 18 months. Right? I mean, that's a ridiculous amount of emails that we're sending out.
Yeah.
And that's gonna grow this summer because I'm gonna add another 200 or 300 or 500 just over the next couple of months because we're in peak season. I mean, I'm gonna be sending 3,000 to 4,000 emails out by the end of the year on a monthly basis to my clientele for people that have stayed with me, and it's all automated. I don't have to do hardly anything. As soon as they book, it is going right into my funnel. It's going right into the workflow. It's sending that first email out. All I got to do is go into it every couple weeks and just make sure it's working okay. And my virtual assistant's helping me do that. Like, this is the easy button for marketing your short-term rentals.
Joe, do you have any idea how much time it would take you to do all that if you had to do it another way?
Oh, it's ridiculous. And I'll be honest, setting it up from the get-go, going in and setting the templates, it took some time, right? I had
Sure.
to take, a good 6, 8 hours. The templates were already in there, but I had to go in there and adjust them to my market for what I'm doing. And it took me a half a day to a day to get all the templates ready to go. And then after that, it just goes, and I ain't got to worry about it.
So
So
you're not using it right now as much to manage your co-hosting growth as much as it is you're using it to manage the strategy of getting repeat guests for the properties that you co-host, right?
yes. Yeah. So,
Okay.
primarily I'm using Markham STR for, I have a landing page for every property that we manage. And
Yeah.
my owners love that because when they want to give out their property website to their friends and family, they have their own domain, their own website that they get to send it to, not the Roan Casa hospitality page that nobody cares
Right.
about because they don't want to send them to my 9 other properties. They want to send it to their property. So they get their own website. And I think that's powerful. And it's powerful to tell when I'm picking up new co-host clients to say, hey, this is what you get with me. With the competition, you get to be on their website with 500 other properties. With me, you get your own.
Mhm.
This is for you. And I think they love that. And the other part that I tell my clients or that I'm managing for is this email marketing campaign. I am collecting it and I'm doing it all. If we ever part ways, I
Yeah.
will give you every email of every single person that's ever stayed with you so you can continue to connect with them if you decide to do it on your own or fire me and go to somebody else.
I hope you're not unique. I try to explain that to people. I think you unfortunately might be a little unique, which I guess is good for you growing your business. But it's like, I think too many people, especially in the property management business, almost forget what a fiduciary is. Like, I mean, what would, like, literally just ask yourself, and I think that's why co hosting exists. It's like someone finally asked the question, what would I want if I was the owner and someone was managing my property? Oh, I'd want to own my listings. I'd want the money first, more than likely. I'd want someone with experience. You know what I mean? I'd want to be able to extricate myself at some point if they don't perform. Like, it's
Yep.
like, oh, let's do co-hosting instead. And I think that's one of the elements of it is, are you going to think in the best interest of the client first or in your own best interest first? Like, it's just that simple. I know you're bound by that a bit when it comes to the real estate license. That's why I said I know you're wired this way as a person, so I don't think you need a license to try to tell you any of that. But I think some people just lose sight of that too much.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I actually had a 30-minute conversation with one of the larger property management companies along 30A this morning, and we were kind of sharing notes, and and I could tell you the mindset of this particular property manager is a complete 180 of where I am, and I told him that I was like, look, I use everything you just told me against you to pick up new clients, you know. And he's like, I respect that. He's like, but this is our model and this is what works. And I'm like, and that's great because there is still a need for the property managers that have 400 properties. There's not enough of us out there to handle every single property out there. There's always going to be a need of the cash buyer who doesn't care about cash flow, that just wants to hire someone to do hands-on. They're not going to update their property, and it is what it is. They might use it 3 months a year. There's always going to be a need for those big property managers. Nothing wrong with that. That's not my business. That's their business, and that's fine, and that's okay. And all we can do is show the clients the difference on how we do things and how we can make them more money. And if that's important, then they're going to make that change.
Yeah. What we've noticed is we've gone down and methodically tried to understand the market before we go out there and make a fool out of ourselves. Is that in the category of property that we want to be in, which is really between $2 and $10 million homes, I don't see how those guys they go use a property manager. I just don't see that as a smart decision, given just the economics of and the average performance. Not only that, if you're with a large property manager, I would be shocked if they're giving their home the attention it deserves, frankly.
Yeah. And it's, and it depends on the home, right? And I've talked to some of the bigger property managers, and this particular one I was talking to was mostly all condos, so he doesn't do much luxury. But the big property managers, they're putting all of their attention in their beachfront homes. But if you're tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3, it's set it and forget it, right? Because they're making the majority of their money on these ones that are on the beach that are bringing in $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year. And if yours makes 80 grand or 100 grand, okay, great. It's, you're just a number. So, so having those tier 1, and that's been my specialty in my business, is getting those tier 1 and tier 2 properties. And we're outperforming beachfront homes. Actually, a quick little story. My 5.5 tier 1 right across the street from the beach, I was running all AirDNA data for the last 12 months yesterday for a client. Mine is the number one performing 4 or 5 bedroom beach, not non-beachfront home in the entire Panama City beach market. 28 miles worth of beach. We are the number one gross volume on AirDNA that I could find between 4 and 5 bedrooms that was not beachfront. And I'll be honest, there was only about 15 beachfront beating us. There were not very many that were actually beachfront beating us, and we are not even on the beach, and we're at almost $220,000 in the past 12 months.
Man, I know you well, man, and I would trust you with any property that I had on 38. Dude, I mean, I can't speak more highly of you. The results you get, what you just mentioned, but not only that, man, your character is unquestionable. So that's awesome to hear that result.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I have no doubt in about 12 months from now, we're going to be having that kind of conversation about your properties, because you and your business partner, I have no doubt in my mind, are going to crush it in the 30A. So anyone that's in the 30A market that is listening to this, you better watch out, because Scott's coming. Scott's coming to build a great co-hosting business. And if you own down there, seriously, you got to give Scott a chance. I guarantee you he's going to take your property to the next level.
I think that's all we want. We want a chance to have a conversation. We'd like to have a chance to do it. We're going to show up with the right model like you have, which is, if you don't like us, we don't perform, then you can get the heck out really quickly. And I love a model where I have to think about what I would want, which is I better perform every month for my client. I think that's a great start to a relationship.
Yeah. One of my favorite questions that Bill always says to talk to your clients is you ask them, in 12 months from now, what does a successful relationship look like, for us? And that's something that I ask every single client or every single person that interviews me to be a property manager for them. So my question is for you, in 12 months from now, going into next year peak season, what does a successful co-host business getting off the ground look like for you? What's your goals? How many properties are you wanting to get between now and then?
The name of our coaching business is called AltVer. So it is the first couple letters of 3 words: Ultimate Vacation Rental. That's AltVer. It's very hard to find a domain name, so that's what we went with.
Nice.
But we want to co-host properties no more than 5 per community, but probably just a few less than, like, we just want a couple. We want to be able to tell the story of the community for each of these properties as this is the destination home to be in this community, whether it's in the beach, Rosemary, any of them, any of the 12. Our goal is no more than 25, and we believe by June of next year we want to have between 5 and 10 properties, I'll say.
I think that's very doable. I think it's very doable, and you're going to use the tools from Market My STR to get there.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines cheering and rooting you on because, like you said earlier, I am in a abundance mindset, and we are in the same market, but we are not competitors. And I'm super excited to watch you succeed.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So that's all. Last thing I got is if somebody wanted to get a hold of you to co-host, how can they get a hold of you? I'll put the notes in the show notes. But how could they get a hold of you?
They can go to altver.com, and we have one of the features, as you know, with Market My STR is the chat widget in the corner. Just reach out in the chat widget and say, hey, I'd like to have a conversation. That would be one good way to do it. If you're a co-host and you want to sign up for Market My STR, that's pretty easy. But what I will say is that if you sign up for any of the subscriptions at Market My STR, we'll give you an exclusive deal if you mention Joe's name.
Awesome, man. That's huge. I appreciate it. I will put the rest of that info in the show notes. I can't thank you enough for not only coming on my podcast, being a friend, and really, really enjoyed my time a few weeks ago. And I know we're going to have many more of that to come. Hopefully I get to see you before the STR Wealth Conference, but I have a feeling that's going to be the next time I see you is going to be in July up in Nashville. So
yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Joe.
Awesome, Scott. Thanks so much. And thank you all for joining me this week. Next week, I am going to be talking about the number one thing that you need to do right now to get ready to become the next great co-host in your market. And it's something that I learned with Scott when I was at the co-host retreat a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to jam for a little bit. So make sure you tune in next week. Again, thanks, guys.